Welcome to the 2D Web Solution Show, the podcast that provides freelancers who are wanting to make more with WordPress, the solutions to create a plan, take action, and experience success. And now, here are Arelthia, Phillips, and Carron with their next 2D Web Solutions episode.
Thank you for being here for episode 22. Today's topic in our WP Niches series is WordPress Themes.
During our WordPress niche series, we've discussed so many options that allow you to make more with WordPress. We've already covered the website niche, which dealt with building websites and hosting websites. And we've also covered the WordPress plugin niche. After today's episode, we are going to be continuing with a few more of what we consider to be our primary WordPress niches, like marketing and education and training.
So, guys, we want to make sure that remind you all to come back for future episodes to continue our WordPress Niches series. And so let's go on and get started with how to make more with WordPress in the themes niche. And to get us started, my first question for you, Kerry, is what is the WordPress themes niche?
Before I answer that specifically, Arelthia, I'd like to go over exactly what a theme is. So a theme is just a collection of files that all work together to produce a graphical interface. And it has an underlying uniform design that puts together your WordPress or your blog. And these files are called template files. A theme typically modifies the way a site is displayed without modifying the underlying software. And in our case, that underlying software is WordPress. Let me ask you this. When we were going through the plugin niche, you mentioned a couple of different ways that you could make money in the plugin niche. You mentioned 3 ways. Do you think those 3 ways could also apply to the theme niche?
That's actually, Kerry, I think it can. Because when you think about the WordPress themes niche, I would say that, again, there are 3 ways that you can make more or get into the WordPress themes niche. So the first way would be providing themes as a service for clients. Second way would be providing a theme as a product for sale. Or the third way is providing a theme for free in the WordPress repository.
Yep, I agree. I completely agree.
And when I think about those 3 areas, Kerry, I guess let's start with the service for clients. What does the WordPress themes niche look like as a service for clients?
Well, very similar to the plugin niche, you could create a specific theme for a specific need that a client has. But at the same time, if you're working with child themes, in most cases, it could be as simple as a modification to an existing theme, because once you make that modification to a theme, that theme is technically not that same theme anymore, and therefore it is now unique and can be considered its own theme.
I think that's a great point, Kerry, and I think that's a great place for people to start out, because it's to take a theme or a child theme that already exists and to modify it in some way. That helps you to learn more about not just how that one particular theme works or that one particular child theme works, but it also helps you get a better understanding of the WordPress theme structure.
Right, because the theme structure in any WordPress theme is all basically the same. I would, however, recommend, if you are going to get into the theme niche, by starting with a theme that you're currently using, because you're going to understand a lot of the syntax, for lack of a better term, the CSS. You'll start to recognize classes and identifications. And though those classes and identifications can be unique to each type of WordPress theme, the underlying structure of the types of files that you're using within a theme all basically remain the same.
Okay, so with that being said, Kerry, okay, so we talked about creating a theme for a client. Now, is it different for if you're not creating it for a client? So basically my question is, what kind of work am I creating for myself by creating premium themes? What's the difference?
Right. Well, the premium themes, again, are themes that are paid themes, and they typically come with updates and support. So if your clients are expecting if they get a premium theme, they're going to expect updates. They're going to expect that that product continues to evolve, even if it doesn't need to. The nature of the business is that you're going to want to keep putting in regular improvements. Obviously, you have to keep up with the things that are going on within the WordPress core files so that you can keep your themes working properly. Let me ask you, what have you come across that you can add to that?
I think, that is very important, because when people don't see, and it's human, when you don't see like a new version of something coming out or an update coming out, you start to think, oh man, have they abandoned it? Is it still secure to use? Oh wow. And it's just that need for it to some type of change, even though it may still work perfectly, but it's like, it's in the WordPress environment, we expect things to change and evolve over time and continue to get better and use new techniques and strategies, even though it still works. People don't like that. You start to get talk and people, oh, they're not developing this. Oh, have they given up on it? Oh, it's been abandoned. Oh, I'm gonna go try this new theme that's fresh, or this new thing. They're steady pushing out updates. They're steady pushing out new child themes. And so that's something to consider if you're gonna create a premium theme, is how much do you want to update it? How often do you want to do that? Are you only going to update it when you're required to because of some change in WordPress? Or are you going to make sure your people see that it's in active development? Because especially if you want to charge annually, which is becoming a big deal with almost everything in WordPress these now. If you want to charge annually, people have to see some consistent updates. They need to see updates regularly. It just cannot be, boom, there's the theme, but you expect me to pay every month, but you're not doing anything to improve. Every year, but you're not doing anything to improve it.
Right. I completely agree with you. One of the things that I want to point out, the difference between just making a modification and developing a premium theme. The big difference is that when you develop a premium theme, it has to work for everyone, regardless of what other plugins and everything that they have in place. So you're also going to need to have a standalone testing environment because you're developing the theme to make it work for anyone, not just the client who wants a specific need. I think one of the greatest places to start developing premium themes is when you have a client who does have a specific need. You can take that specific need, because chances are they're really not the only person who's going to need that type of a theme. So you can take it and remove it from their hosting platform and whatnot, and add all of the elements that you need to test in a theme environment and put it in a closed-in place, or you want to test it for all of the crazy things that people are going to do with a theme.
Yeah, and a great way to do that, Kerry, is to use the WordPress theme unit test file.
Yes.
And you just basically import that file into your theme, and you get all this content. It's just crazy, like 50 menu options.
All nested within one another. Down. Yes. Exactly.
Yes. And that helps you to test stuff that you would have never considered doing.
Right.
Because you want to test it, and I'm going to say this, that you want to test it on different hosting environments. I think that's important, because you're going to get people in shared hosting environments. You're going to get people in maybe VPS or dedicated, some with low-end hosting, the $3 hosting, some with the higher-end hosting, and you want to make sure they're going to have a good experience with it. And I'm going to say this up front, like some plugins, you may not be able to make your theme compatible with some plugins, because some plugins just don't work the way they're supposed to, or they're just not coded based on WordPress standards. So, but you need to be aware of that so that you can make it known to people up front. This plugin is not compatible with this theme. That a lot of that comes out during testing, but then also you will get a lot of that when you're dealing with your customers, the people that actually buy your themes. They'll let you know what does not work when you get those support requests. Support is going to be important in making your theme better and keeping it running smoothly. So
I think you run into a lot less of that when you're developing themes versus plugins, because a theme has, I think, a lot fewer files, and there's very little to do with any real PHP. A lot of it is, mostly the CSS and the style and how you make it look, which typically doesn't interfere with other people's plugins. But if you do have some sort of unique functionality within your functions PHP file, then yeah, for sure, you have to be aware of that.
yeah, especially when you get some of these themes with, like the fancy way that they're adding content, when you're dealing with the way the themes integrate with the WordPress customizer, that's when you start to see those issues, the way they're adding content to their homepage.
Right.
Sometimes they don't do things necessarily in the best way. So that's something you want to consider, is how you're adding different components to your theme. And again, it does depend on the theme that you're starting from.
Right.
So Kerry, I don't want to focus too much on the premium, because there is another option for people that want to offer WordPress themes. So what can you expect if you decide to provide themes through the WordPress repository?
Well, Arelthia, just like you mentioned in our WP plugin niche podcast, getting your theme into the repository follows a really specific process that you have to meet before your theme can be made for other people to use. Your theme is immediately, once you get past that first process, it's immediately put out to a whole lot of people that are going to potentially be available to you as your clients for any of your services, not just your themes. So an example is when you're featured by others in reviews. Let's say I've put a theme out there and WP Beginner decides to write an article on that particular theme. You are out there, you're in the limelight. Your work is out there in the limelight. So you're going to have people crawling out of the woodwork, for lack of a better term, that are going to like, dislike, and be all in between in everything, in all of your work in your premium theme or your free theme that you have out there on the WordPress repository. So as you also mentioned in our previous podcast, there's two different types of people that you're going to attract when your plugins and your themes are within that repository. You're going to have those people who are looking for free support and expect everything within WordPress to be free because WordPress is free. And you're also going to be looking for those people who are going to really take their time. They're going to get to know you. They are going to hire you to potentially customize a theme that they've already got, or to meet a specific need that they have. And therefore, maybe you'll get to spin off a premium theme that was originally a free theme in the repository.
Okay.
Anything to add to that?
So one thing I do want to point out here is that when you start putting themes in the WordPress repository, you really want to consider what's your plan for that theme, or additional premium, or maybe a premium themes, or premium child themes for that theme that you can offer as a product. Because if you really take a look at, and I encourage people to do this, take a look at what's already in the WordPress repository for free themes. You'll notice that there are a lot of child themes for the WordPress specific, like 2016, 2017, 2015. You'll notice a lot of those. You'll notice a lot of child themes for, like, the WordPress repository won't take child themes for certain types of themes. Only themes that people can actually get from WordPress. So you want to look at that closely. You also want to think, okay, what's my plan? If I put this free theme in the WordPress repository, how much am I going to give them for free?
Right.
And how am I going to convert them? What's your plan for converting them from a free customer to maybe a paid customer, for a paid product, or maybe for paid services? Okay.
That's a great way of looking at that. Yeah. Good input.
So, Kerry, with all this being said, I know someone out there is thinking, what do I need to know or do next to get started in the WordPress themes niche?
Well, luckily you have us at 2D Web Solutions, and you can go back through a lot of our different episodes and get different techniques and strategies. Specifically, I would recommend applying our straight A strategy, which is looking at the alternatives for themes that are out there, your authority on being a person to go to for themes, the access you have to leads that you're going to generate if you decide to go into the theme niche, as well as how much of that can you automate. And then always go through the declassification, which is determining whether or not you're going to develop, delegate, or dismiss making those themes or trying to make more from WordPress with the theme niche. What have you got to add to that?
Okay, so, and then you can also, to learn more about WordPress theme development, you want to learn more, if you don't already know, you want to learn more about HTML, CSS, PHP, JavaScript, and, you know, the big thing that's on everybody's mind right now is the WordPress REST API. You really need to learn that because WordPress is changing quickly. To use that API even more. Places you can go to learn about this is lynda.com, SitePoint, Toots Plus, and, you know, really go in and check out the WordPress theme handbook. That is like a great place where you can go and really learn more about developing themes specifically for WordPress.
Right. I could also recommend attending webinars that are related to the themes that you use. Perhaps you're a Genesis user or a Builder, iThemes Builder user. There's all kinds of trainings out there, live webinars that you can go to, Slack channels you can join that will all discuss and relate to learning more about specific types of themes. And I recommend this especially if you're going to be going into building child themes. Okay. And lastly, be sure to familiarize yourself with the theme review guidelines. And we'll go ahead and put those links to some of those resources in our show notes when we get this up online.
Okay, and just real quick, Kerry, just want to recap real quick what we talked about today. We talked about how you can make more with WordPress by creating WordPress themes as a service for your clients, creating WordPress themes to sell, you know, premium WordPress themes, or creating WordPress themes to put in the WordPress repository. And so with that being said, Kerry, do we have an action plan for our audience today?
We certainly do. And our action plan for today is to apply the straight A strategies and the declassification to the WordPress theme product.
All right. So guys, definitely, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to encourage you to actually go to 2dwebsolutions.com and download the special infographic that we have for you related to creating WordPress themes. So questions, Kerry, what questions do we have for them?
Well, as always, we want to know, after listening to our podcast, what appeals to you most or excites you the most about getting into the WordPress theme niche?
Okay. And what questions do you have about offering WordPress themes as a service, or even offering a WordPress theme as a product?
Right. And if you're already developing themes, whether it be in the WordPress repository or creating modifications or even the premium themes, what additional advice can you offer our readers?
Guys, we know your comments can help us. They also help other people that are in the process. And we just want to thank you for taking the time to go out to 2dwebsolutions.com and leaving your comments with your opinions, because your opinion does matter to us.
We appreciate and thank you so much for being here. So now go out and create your plan, take action, and experience your success.
Thank you.
Kerry and Arelthia invite you to start your plan by taking this action. Submit your questions by visiting their website and subscribe to their 2D podcast at 2dwebsolutions.com.